on the Double Horn Ranch, and I think winter has finally gotten here. About 21 degrees last night, but after we've had some rainstorms, sun has finally come out. Beautiful after the rain. You can see it's a little bit chilly. It's probably about 50 degrees, so really just about right. Great weather conducive to working horses for sure. Low humidity. But today what I thought I'd talk about was a little bit about conformation. These are just going to be some quick studies on conformations, so hang with me and hopefully you'll learn something. You know, whenever I'm looking at a horse to ride or to buy, the things I look for are breeding, disposition, conformation. You know, conformation, in other words, if the horse is put together really good, it's easier for me to do the maneuvers I ask him to do. Really, no matter what those maneuvers might be, stop, back, turn, spin, could be a different conformation maybe for running or jumping. So depending on what you're doing, that breeding and that disposition, that trainability, and that conformation can become pretty important. So the best way I've found to check a horse's conformation, to make it easy and to make it simple, is to just start at the head. That way I don't miss anything, and I'm going to go all the way through. So when we talk about the head, obviously we'd like a horse kind of that's pretty headed. That doesn't mean I've had horses with big old ugly heads or a knot on their head or even a scar. Doesn't mean that might not be the best horse you ever had, but it's nice if you can get the whole package. So a little pretty headed horse, when he looks at you, again, sort of a triangular shape like there. Boy, you can see that intelligent look. I like that big, brown, dark, placid eye. Not a lot of white in it. Ears that kind of fit this horse. Not too big, not too little. You know, like a little distance between the eyes. You got a little brain power right there. And then if you look at the nostrils, I like a big, round nostril as much as I can, because that's where he's taking in the air. Think about it, a horse he doesn't breathe through his mouth unless there's something wrong. So taking that air in and out, you don't want just a little slit. The more round and big it is, the more air he can take in. And the Arabians are a really good example of a big round nostril. When I look at the mouth, a lot of times, I like kind of a shallow mouth horse right there, kind of shallow mouth, because if he's shallow mouth, I think he's a little more receptive to the bit. A real deep mouth horse kind of swallows that bit and not as receptive. I like their lips. I can actually pick them up and feel them sometimes. Real sensitive, real narrow kind of lips. Again, that horse is going to be more sensitive. Sometimes, if I can, look at their tongue. Again, I don't want a real big fat tongue, just kind of a narrow tongue that's easy for him to hold that bit and again be receptive to that horse. Right here we go into the poll and the throat latch area. And this horse is a little thick in the throat latch here, because if they're kind of small or narrow in the throat latch, guess what? It's going to be easier for them to break or soften in the poll right there. So he's a little thick in the throat latch here. So again, look at his neck. I don't like a big cresty neck or anything like that. Just want it to be nice and tie in real smoothly to the shoulders and to the withers here. You know, we talk about the slant or the slope of that shoulder. This horse, if you go to the point of the shoulder to the point of the withers, he's got a pretty good slope. And what that gives you, again, we're talking about angles now. See, when you look at that slope, I kind of want the same angle here as I'm going to end up getting in the pastern right there. So again, if you have a real just steep up and down shoulder, sometimes their trot or even their canter can be kind of rough. So we like that sloping shoulder where it's going to really be kind of a nice smooth angle here. You know, some people say that this distance here, we're talking about balance now, the distance, pick his head up just a little bit for me, a little more, pick it up. So it's like from about here to the point of that wither should be maybe pretty close the same from the here to the middle or the point of the shoulder. That gives it balance. Some people say the same should be the same distance here from the peak of the withers right there to the peak of the loin right there. And I'm going to get him to stand up a little bit here so you can see that those those are distances are pretty the same, and we're talking about balance with the horse. Richard Schreck was always the best on knowing those different angles and stuff like that. So as I go down here, I want this horse to be straight-legged. I don't want him to be cow hock, sickle hock, bench kneed, where he goes backwards here. So I want nice and straight, and I like good bone here, but a short cannon bone. And one of the reasons we want a short cannon bone, when it's shorter usually, then it's going to be stronger. If it's real long and kind of fragile, more apt that he could hurt or break that leg or something right there. So that short cannon bone right here, that flat knee. If you came to the front here, I want to come to the front of the horse now and look at him. I want to look at his chest. Here, this becomes really important here. I don't want to have it where his legs look like they come out of the same hole here. So I want some muscling and some definition in his chest. You can kind of see that. He's got some pretty good distance. He's got a nice, look how straight his legs are right here. Really nice. And again, that good flat knee, the short cannon bone. And look how good his feet are. Now this horse is good footed, really black feet, boy, just strong as flint right there. That's something I like to look at as well. Doesn't mean a horse with white feet, a lot of times a white foot or white hoof can be more shelly, but I've seen white hoofed horses that had really good feet too. Now as I come back around this angle again, see, look at that. I don't want this horse real straight in the pastern, and he could have just a little bit more slope. I'd like it to be kind of sloped like the shoulder here. And again, that's going to make for that smoothness in that trot. And again, if I was really doing this right, I'd watch the horse really move, the way he placed his feet. Did he have a flat knee action? Did he keep his feet close to the ground? Did he naturally pick up the correct lead? Well, there's a lot of things we can look at when we're talking about judging a horse in conformation. Now I'm going to go here to the withers. The withers is kind of important, and it's one of the last things to really develop on the horse. You won't see a lot of colts with a big withers. I think nature made it that way, so it'd be easier to get out of that birth canal right there. So these withers here become really important because that's what's going to hold your saddle in place with the withers. So this horse has a pretty good withers, and it's not bad at all. You can actually see it. That saddle's going to sit, the peak of the saddle, I like to sit right on the peak of the withers and then back here, not interfering with his shoulders. But he has a fairly good withers to hold that saddle in place. Now this is the heart girth area here, and you want that pretty big here because that is where his heart and lung capacity is. So if he's real small here, he might not have a big heart and lung capacity. So in these quarter horses and performance and working horses, we like some size here in the heart girth here. Now we talk about the back here. The back, to me, I like to see a horse that as soon as it goes down, it immediately goes kind of right back up. There's not a flat spot in here. Usually if it gets a flat spot in here, in other words, you see how this horse goes down and right back up, and it's kind of short from here to the loins. These are the loins here. So I want that kind of short, and when it goes down, it comes right back up. If you got that flat spot, then you're going to get a long back horse, and they can get sore back a little easier, not be quite as strong a lot of times. So that short back horse, the old timers always told me that there was no such thing as a horse with a back too short. So that's something you might kind of want to think about. So good withers, big in the heart girth right here, strong over his loins. You can see those muscles here, right there. You want that strong. And then this is the croup here. I like these horses with a nice smooth croup and again, they'd be the same height as that withers, boy, and you can really kind of see that there, how level that is. That's pretty nice right there. And so you would get back here going toward the hind end right here. This is the stifle. I like to be able to see these muscles a little bit. I want to see a little definition. Stifle, gaskin right here. And I want to see, if I look at him from the back, I like seeing that definition like this. So here's the stifling. One way it's easy to remember, stifle starts with an S, gaskin starts with a G, and the G one is closer to the ground. That's how I kind of remember that. So again, you look at this horse here, And I'm going to kind of push him around because I want to look at this back leg a little bit here. So there, I want it there. That's good right there. And so I don't want a horse with a real straight back leg. That's what we call a post-legged horse. And boy, they can be rough riding, more prone to injury and stuff. So I look for that stifle, I look for that definition, that gaskin, a low, nice low hock. See how it's a low hock, and then again, short gaskin right here, and a bend, a bend in that leg, not straight. You know, one thing don't forget is the tail set. Let's look how pretty this horse's tail sets in right there. It doesn't stick out. It's not too, some of them are up high and they stick out, you know. So again, this tail set's real pretty. Pretty good gaskin stifle, low set hock, short cannon bone, a good footed. And if you looked at this horse from the very back, again, this is the motor, the hindquarter. This is the engine of the horse. And so I don't want to see a lot of daylight going like up here, a big daylight. So I want those muscles to come together down here. And then from this position, again, look how straight my horse's legs are from the very back. Again, I don't want him cow-hocked or sickle-hocked and stuff like that. So he's nice and straight. Pretty good size to that hip right there where he's got some strength. So overall, this horse really has a pretty good look to him, pretty good balance. Overall, you know, pretty nice headed, and I'd say this was a fairly nice looking horse.